It's that time again, and we have a special guest. Always introduce yourself.
This is Ambassador Kosh, and I've always been here.
So yeah, the first topic will be J.J. Abrams mentioning the Fandom Menace. Just a quick rundown.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I've heard a couple other people talking about it. I actually got a chance to read the article. I think it was on Esquire Online or something. I was able to look it up. And my 2 cents, honestly, I think maybe he's trying to save his own skin, and maybe he is. Well, he mentioned he made the reference to toxic fans, and in the same breath, he references the Fandom Menace. And honestly, I don't. I think I just said I think he's just trying to save his own skin at this point. I think he's trying to reach out in some hazard way to all the. Bless you.
Yeah.
As I started saying, no, it's okay. Hey, it happens.
Yeah.
I think he's trying in this haphazard way to reach out to the Fandom Menace, all those people that are a part of it, and say, hey, I'm trying to do right by y'all, but I think at this point, considering everything that's been going on the last 2 years with what Kennedy and Johnson have done and him kind of jade our way, not as heatedly as Kennedy and Johnson have on Twitter and in his interviews and so on. I think he's trying to save his own skin at this point. But
hey, Junkman.
Hey,
we're
Junkman.
just talking about the JJ thing.
Hello.
Hello. So yeah, before I was talking about how we were going to change your mind about the Fandom Menace, and now, are you there? Yeah.
If y'all don't have y'all's
camera
on, I feel odd having my camera on.
Yeah. If you want to introduce yourself to the audience.
Everybody knows me.
Everybody knows me. Well, I'm a little channel, so.
Hold on, my mom just texted me.
Yeah.
Well, okay. She said the last Jedi sucks. Hate my mom.
Now. Nobody loves you as much as your mama does.
Yeah. All opinions. So yeah, if you want to go first, Kosh.
Yeah, attack.
Well, talking about the Jay's comment, or are we talking about changing Junkman's mind about the Fandom Menace?
Yeah.
First, can I ask you something? Let me ask y'all something.
Yeah, sure.
Why name yourself after the worst Star Wars movie ever made?
Well, Junkman, here's the thing.
Wouldn't the Phantom Menace strike? Wouldn't the Phantom Strikes Back? Wouldn't that be better?
you got a point there.
You do. I'm no authority on the Fandom Menace by any stretch. I don't consider myself within the core group, although it's not necessarily there is a core group within Fandom Menace. Fandom Menace actually originated back in '99, and after the prequels concluded and everything, a lot of people didn't care for specifically that movie and the Phantom Menace. And it kind of, after the prequels and after everything kind of died out, the Fandom Menace stuck around in the manner speaking, but didn't really kick back up and ramp up and everything. After not so much The Force Awakens, it did start to rumble a little bit, but it really started to catch on again with The Last Jedi coming out and so on. I think a lot of people they wanted to have something positive come out of the Phantom Menace, and hence the name kind of stuck. So
yeah, I know on my end, like I used to be really against the Fandom Menace, and then after I started doing a little bit more research, and after a lot of my the people that I know, when I had my large page, Star Wars, Jedi Fans Unleashed, um, they kind of attacked that Star Wars girl when she was grieving over the loss of her family member, and I
Yeah.
really didn't agree with what they were doing. So that was, I think that was the biggest turning point on when I was like, you know what, these so-called positive people are really the toxic ones. So
Yeah.
I don't know what's your
Um,
thought on that, Junkman.
Well, I don't there's toxic on both sides.
Yeah.
Most of what I do on Twitter about the Phantom Menace is tongue in cheek, just screwing with you guys because you guys have a sense of humor. I mean, me and Ichibaka talk a lot. I just did a podcast with Ruin Johnson. Guys, we really talk back and forth, and so if I say anything bad about the other side, they will ban me and block me, and
yeah, and that's why I found, like, I was afraid of opening my mouth for the longest time because I was afraid of getting blocked by these people, and you know.
I've been blocked by the best: Jason Ward, Steel Ward, one of those other guys that work at Star Wars Inside.
Yeah.
Just curiosity. Go ahead, CJ.
You're saying, Kosh?
Just out of curiosity, Junkman, did you get blocked by Star Wars Explained and his girlfriend or whatever?
You want me to tell you about I'll tell you a story about him.
Okay.
I don't really watch. I don't watch a lot of YouTube, believe it or not. So I don't really know. I mean, I know him just because who he is. Hold on, my mic.
Oh, Jesus. Train.
That's on my end. Sorry, guys.
Who's at the train?
That's me. Sorry about that.
But anyway, I was doing a weekly review of the old Star Wars figure, a new figure every week. And Star Wars Explained followed me, and we talked. And he was going to come on my show, which he's a big guy. So, I mean, if you like him or not, he's a big guy. It would help me out a lot. So I wrote this whole piece for him to come on and do. Then all of a sudden, he just blocked me and stopped talking to me. I don't know what I did or anything. And then he sent me an email said he has a block change. He didn't mean to block me and he was sorry. So he unblocked me. He didn't call me back and never told me about the video we were going to do together. I sent him the script over. Never heard nothing else from him again. So apparently,
I find a lot of.
Apparently, I upset him somehow.
I find a lot of people on that side, like, they'll block you for even suggesting that you don't like.
I have been blocked by so many. I was just on the Star Wars leaks on Reddit, and somebody linked to a news story, and I went to look at it, and it was blocked by some girl I never even heard. I don't even know who she is. So yeah, I see that a lot. I'm blocked by a lot of people I don't even have any contact with.
Well, Junkman, this is what I'll say to you. As I said, I'll use the hashtag Fandom Menace periodically in some of my posts on Twitter, and I'll mention it in passing in my video. But like I said, I don't overdo it. I know some people do, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. If you consider yourself part of the Fandom Menace, that's fine. But by and large, what I have seen from those who identify very much with the Fandom Menace, who hold to the ideals, and I do agree with some of the ideals of the Fandom Menace. And one of those is just having an appreciation and respect for the franchise and for those who built it and created it and everything. Having a place we can talk and everything, discuss this in a civil and polite way. Myself, my channel and everything, I don't do a whole lot of Star Wars, although I am an old school Star Wars fan. I was born in 78, the year after the first one came out. I grew up watching Star Wars. I am a diehard Star Wars fan. I went through a period where I didn't care for the prequels, particularly Episode 1. But in light of as I've gotten older, for one thing, but two, seeing what Disney has done with the franchise, have a newfound appreciation for the prequel movies. Honestly, by and large, I liked the prequel. I enjoyed them. I saw all three of them when they originally released. And what have you, I have on Blu-ray. Me and my wife, we will watch them together and everything. It's one of the things that we attracted ourselves to each other is the fact we're both geeks. We both like Star Wars. And I particularly love the original trilogy. I remember going to see Return of the Jedi when it was in theaters or anything. And there's a side story to that, but I won't go into it here. I think one of the problems is you've got the Fandom Menace. You do, as you've mentioned yourself, Junkman, there are these two sides to the Fandom Menace. You've got the very positive side who just wants to be left alone, who wants to love the movies, and if we want to criticize them, we're going to criticize them for what we don't like, but we're not going to browbeat everybody over the head and say you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. That's the opposite side of the Fandom Menace. There are those people out there who identify as Fandom Menace, but they're very narrow-minded. They don't have this ability to look at the flaws within the movie in a constructive way, and all they can do is attack everybody who speaks out and say, hey, I did not particularly care for what JJ or Rian Johnson did. I don't particularly care for the comments that they have made. I don't care for how they've broken the lore within the first 6 movies. And there's so much else and everything that is going on. I know a lot of people, when Disney bought Lucasfilm from George Lucas, they didn't like the fact that they pretty much came out and said that the universe was no longer canon. Now, I grew up reading the canon and everything, books and everything in the comics.
But it was never canon. Let's go ahead.
Well, that's the thing. There were many quotes that, kind of debunked that, right? You got Leland. What were you saying?
From Lucas's point of view, it was never canon.
Yeah. And it was
he still approved some of the stories.
Yes.
I mean, there are quotes where he approved Starkiller as being, they would have never made that Force Unleashed game had George Lucas not approved.
Oh, approved, but I'm just saying if he was going to do
that
a movie,
story,
he wasn't bound to it.
Oh no, here's the thing with all these movies, like he would have never adapted any of those stories. He would have continued from the stories, and the stories would stand alone as they were, just like everything else in the new canon.
Yeah.
And the term canon can mean a couple different things, and I think when you're talking about Star Wars canon, there's the canon, there is the 6 movies.
Yeah,
well,
there was always a hierarchy of canon. There was the N canon, the C canon, and all that.
Yeah. And the other part of that is, if you want to consider whatever else came after Jedi as canon, whether it was in a book or a comic, you can do so, but you had that freedom to say, yeah, this is canon in my head. But when it comes from the horse's mouth, George Lucas, there were some things he considered, yeah, this is canon. If it's a game or what have you, yeah, he's like, I'll say this is canon if it's within the universe. Or it doesn't fit within the universe, and everybody was perfectly fine with that. It was honestly a very live and let live type of community and everything that existed and everything after Return of the Jedi. And I think one thing that you've seen is, particularly now with what they're calling it as the Disney trilogy, people are divorcing 7, 8, 9 from the original 6 films. I don't particularly have a problem with that myself. I don't particularly care for 7 and 8. I'm not even going to bother to go to see 9 because
I'm more of a fan of the standalones, to be honest.
Yeah. Now, for me, I do consider Rogue One canon. It does fit within the story. It fits very well within the story. I mean, that's right.
It's kind of a boring movie, but I think I'm the only one to say that.
And now, Junkman,
it's the worst of the Disney movies. I do like it, but it's the worst of the Disney movies.
Yeah.
Well, and that's your point of view. You are entitled to it. Nobody here.
Exactly, and that's the thing about the Phantom Menace. We're very diverse in our opinions.
Well,
We may seem like we're some of us. I'm not gonna name names, but you know, Jeremy, but are kind of they seem a little. I don't know what the word is.
Well, I've had my own issues with him.
Yeah,
I did a video on him
I've now I've kind of gotten. I respect the man.
I did, and I took up for him a lot on Twitter. I used to take up for him on Twitter when people would talk bad about him. Then he unfollowed me, and I heard he said some bad things about me. So I don't take up for him no more.
Yeah.
Well, Junkman, here's the thing. Nobody in the Fandom Menace, at least on the positive side of it, if you want to look at the Fandom Menace like the first, you got the light side and the dark side.
Yeah,
Go buy
the Fandom Menace isn't Jeremy. The Fandom Menace is a collective of people who believe, that Star Wars should be better than it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've said this on Twitter, and I'll say it now for anybody listening. Y'all are a good community where y'all help each other out. And I see that. And I just do a toy channel, mostly Star Wars old. I talk about old stuff on my channel. I don't know if y'all know it. But there's a lot of people on YouTube that just will not even talk to me because I don't have 100,000 followers or whatever. But y'all really connect with each other.
I mean,
help each
people
other out.
like Hello Greedo and Star Wars Explained, they won't even talk to anyone.
Yeah, that's what I was surprised when Star Wars Explained kind of acted like he was going to work with me. And I was like, okay, this is a cool guy. And then, of course, I got blocked.
Yeah.
Well, the only YouTuber, like, big name channel that I have a communication with on a semi-regular basis is over DVD. If you're familiar with him or not.
We got a guest here from the UK. Is it?
Yeah.
Jens?
Yeah. Jens.
We're trying to change that Junkman's mind on the Fandom Menace per se.
Well, I think I need to go over some of my problems with the Fandom Menace.
Sure, absolutely.
Because I can.
Let's go with.
If the Fandom Menace just got on YouTube and Twitter and talked about what they hated about the movies, that's fine. I can get that. One, I have a pet peeve about any people name a group or anything, so that just little fun jab.
I think though that's what the Fandom Menace basically do. Though they're just making YouTube clips of films that they don't like, and what it is these big corporations don't want any negative press. They don't want anyone saying, "Oh well, that's like a half-baked movie that like they aren't even bothered with it." So any criticism they hate. And so
they
I think
kind of censor other criticisms about it.
Yeah, like I said, I don't have nothing. Chris, what really irritates me, and I don't know exactly. I think Doomcock, is he part of the Phantom Menace?
Yeah.
Yes.
I know he comes up, and some other people with some extremely rumors that I can tell. But I was like, this is not based on any real facts. It's just hearsay, and it seems like it's just made up to attack
I understand that,
and that's what upsets me.
Yeah. But the thing with them rumors is with Doomcock, he will tell you it is a rumor, and he makes a like little 10-second statement saying it's only a rumor. You don't have to. It's we haven't got any proof.
But my problem not with him is the people that then run with that on their own YouTube channels like it's gospel.
Yeah,
I see a lot of that with the and all that stuff.
Yeah,
that's just there's enough in there to. There's enough in there to attack the movies for what they are without having to make up stuff to attack the movie that's coming out.
But that's just speculation. It's all films will have it. You know, when like this new Batman film that's coming out, I'm speculating that he's going to be a bit of a soy boy pussy that like gets his ass kicked, and Catwoman comes in and saves him. I don't know this. I don't. Yeah. I'm up there. I don't know this, but that's what I'm thinking.
I get his point of saying, "Hey, here's a rumor I heard," but then at least on Twitter, I'll see it tweeted 20 times a day that it's a fact.
Yeah.
Oh well, that's.
But nothing you can really do about that, I guess.
Right, isn't it? Yeah. Well, that's all like your sources. It's if you read a source that's saying this is a fact, and it turns out like it wasn't, then you all think, well, is that source reliable?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Kind of like I said, Mike Zero. They always take his. There's a lot of articles that will take his word
and
as a source, and
I don't think that bothered me just as much as people quoting the Phantom Menace stuff that was rumored.
Well, this is by no means me throwing shade at Mike Zero and everything. I would much rather him do at least one video or a couple of videos a day.
A couple. I'm pretty sure he comes out with like 60 videos per day. I don't know how the man does it.
I guess he's just making it up. It's not that hard.
It's get the algorithm in it working in your favor. So
yeah.
I mean,
a lot. He puts the time in. I give him that.
Yes, he does, and I'll respect him for that. I mean, I do usually 2 or 3 videos a day, and that's for me because I have a life. I mean, I work, I have a family and everything. I got stuff I gotta do. This is just something on the side I do to kill time more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, I probably do one a day, and it takes me 3 hours. So I don't see how he does it.
So, but Jens, as you were saying, go ahead.
I would say, although once you get into like routine and rhythm, it becomes more sort of like fluent sort of thing. So
you get into a rhythm. It becomes more fluid. It becomes easier because I'm gonna record my videos here, edit here, upload them here, and I've got the rest of the day to do whatever I need to do on that. It's honestly, I think where you get a lot of the toxicity is these people who just kind of haunt Twitter or YouTube every hour or every day, and
to kind of hide behind the keyboard.
Well, that's one thing to really. I mean, I see it as the Phantom Menace types being more toxic because I'll do a video about an action figure from 1980. It has nothing to do with Star Wars, and I will get 3 comments. At least that toy line's better than that Disney crap. I was like, why even find that?
Well, that's a joke on it,
And it just drives me crazy. That's toxic to me, is when you just go out your way to bash something.
I think with the Fandom Menace there's no rules for them, so there is that sort of like crazy sort of will sort of put crazy comments. I sometimes will put crazy like daft comments in. Degrading Disney, Star Wars, and that, But it is one of where I think though where it does get a bit because where if you like make it personal, unless it's been made personal to you, but it's that where you shouldn't really make it personal on someone sort of thing. But
I find like having people behind the keyboard kind of dehumanizes a lot of people. So
there's a lot of people that just have a better life on the internet with chatting, and so they just get into where they will say a lot of stuff that they wouldn't say in normal sort of circumstances and that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I admit too on my Twitter, I will tweet some stupid stuff out just to get a reaction from the Phantom Menace because y'all are great at reacting.
Yeah, and
well, I think
I get that too. I mean,
I'll say Holdo's the best character in the new movie. I think we can all agree on that. Tear each other up.
And Junkman, here's the thing. Oftentimes, particularly for somebody in my generation, I think you and I are close in age. I think, are you in your 40s?
Yeah, I mean, I saw the original.
Okay.
All the way back.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm 44.
I think the one thing that us older YouTubers, I mean, small channel, big channel, whatever, the one thing we can kind of help the younger ones or anything, the younger YouTubers that are coming up or are currently in existence, the way we can do them is show them that there was a world once upon a time when all this technology did not exist. Excuse me. And I think the one thing we can do is we're not saying beat them over the head with a ruler or whatever, saying, don't you dare do that. Shame on you for putting out that tweet, that or post or whatever. Show them through how we interact online when we're tweeting or when we're making a video or whatever the case may be. You can have your opinion, absolutely, but learn to be civil, because there used to be a time where you can make a comment to one person, they could be in the same room, if they didn't like it, particularly if we're in high school, they could often deck you if they wanted to. And I think the fact that you don't have that sense of this can have real life consequences.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Right.
Is something that is very much lost on all this new tech that has come out within the last several years. And we're just now trying to figure out how to manage our lives around it, and how we're supposed to, and how we can communicate, how we use it to communicate with one another in a civilized manner, and how we communicate our thoughts and our feelings and our positions in a civilized manner, where you don't necessarily have to go on some sort of 10 or 15-minute rant or anything. Do thing and your
yeah. Well, there's that sort of thing where people
going to
nowadays is like worldwide, and so people can comment with other people that share their same. Where years ago you'd have to like find someone around your sort of like 5 mile sort of radius sort of thing. If not only like in a 5 mile radius, like, so yeah, you'd probably have to like just talk to someone like else or something. But yeah, it has come, so the world's getting smaller, so everyone's got like an opinion. And with like Twitter and that, some people think that on Twitter, because I don't go on Twitter, because for a start I'd probably get kicked off straight away, so I'd be like pointless. But yeah, there's some people on Twitter that like put comments on that, like if you shouted it in the middle of the street, people just walk by and like not even bother. But because like it gets like about 100 likes or something, they think, oh yeah, well yeah, this is important. But it's a bit of an echo chamber sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Well, see, I remember being online during the prequels, and a lot of people hated the prequels, but it didn't ever feel like they were attacking the fans. They might attack George Lucas, and they might attack, decisions he made. But if you came on and said, "Hey, I did like it," they didn't never attack you for it, like it seems to do now on both sides, not just the Phantom Menace, but both sides.
Yeah.
But I think with the prequels,
and
because I think with the prequels, the storyline was good, as in it was written back in the 70s and that. So
and then brought back.
Yeah, and so it was filmed a bit. I was saying, like with Jar Jar Binks, I thought that they put the character in for the like lighter side, because I think it was to probably sell more of a wider range to the kids, because it's pretty dark. Yeah, because like in like
Revenge of the Sith, like Anakin.
Yeah. So and it was one of the things that I think the point, and as I say, might appeal to some people, but there were some people that like wanted the more darker sort of version of Star Wars, like with the mandolin. I mean, mandolin. The Mandalorian. Yeah. Just that, like, I play a bit of guitar and I've got like a mandolin and that. So.
Yeah. Well, actually, I saw.
I was saying with mandolin. There's people that say, "Oh, yeah, well, that's a bit childish," but or a bit dark. But it's getting that sort of where Star Wars. It is a sort of a bit like with the A-Team sort of a thing where it was for adults, but also for children, a bit of a family sort of. Obviously,
it's a family opera.
Yeah, there is though, but like Star Wars, it's more of your teenage sort of like because one of them is a 12. I think it is Return of the Sith. So.
Like what George Lucas said, it's for 13-year-olds growing up into their adulthood.
Yeah. Well, Well, because like in, I was just say in the Star New Hope, Thingy gets his arm chopped off. The dude in the bar, the sort of one who's starts hassling Luke Skywalker, and Obi-Wan Kenobi just chops his arm off.
And most kids would be afraid of that. Like that.
But,
I mean, when you first watch A New Hope, you see Vader come in and slaughter all the rebels with the stormtroopers, and like as a kid, I would imagine that would be pretty scary for.
No. And when he tortures one of them, he had him just like up in the throat position and that, and he's like proper making him suffer.
So what's your thoughts on that, Junkman?
Well, I mean, I think Lucas's plan was to do. I think Phantom Menace is supposed to be a younger crowd, like 8. And he knew 3 years later they would be 12. So he kind of made them for each one. You know what I'm saying? That by the time the third one came, it was a lot darker, and they were probably 14 or 15 really into that. But for somebody that waited 16 years to see the Clone Wars, to see the fall of Anakin, it was a major letdown. And a lot of the same stuff I hear today, I heard on message boards back when the prequels came out that ruined my childhood. Star Wars is dead, and all this stuff I'm just hearing today.
I do think that the internet has kind of brought a lot of that out. You know, the social media has, brought it more to the forefront.
All right. And then of course doing videos and online as much as I am, I'm going to see a lot more than the average person, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the other thing with the originals. If anyone has watched the Empire Dreams documentary that they made when they did the one they did the special edition release on DVD way back when, you have to realize the era of the 1970s, the late 1970s, was a very tumultuous time, and a lot of your studios were being sold to corporations and so on. But 20th Century Fox was still under the leadership of Alan Ladd Jr. And went to Fox or 20th Century Fox and said, "I've got this treatment, I've got this idea." And Ladd, he's like, "I don't understand this, but I believe in George Lucas," because Lucas had just done American Graffiti a couple of years before, and American Graffiti was incredibly popular and financially successful. What you saw in a lot of that old footage, this particularly with the first Star Wars, this was a family movie. And yeah, you had the scene where Vader was choking Captain Antilles holding by the throat. You had people getting shot in the beginning. You had Obi-Wan cut the guy's arm off. You had Vader supposedly kill Obi-Wan and everything. And you could even make the argument that Episode 4 or A New Hope and everything was in itself dark. And Empire just went further down that rabbit hole, anything of darkness. So, and I got your message. Is it better now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
But I think this idea that the prequels weren't quite as dark or as mature as people may have wanted. Now, I'll be the first to say I did not care for Jar Jar Binks, but if you remove his influence on the movie, Jake, it's a very entertaining, very well done movie because you've still got Liam Neeson, you got Natalie Portman, you've got a good group of actors in that movie. I think the one thing that the prequel suffered from was the fact that you did not have Lawrence Kasdan's input and influence on those movies. Because if you realize, Lucas, he did the story, but Kasdan and Lee Brackett did Empire, and then Kasdan did Return of the Jedi on his own. Yeah. They brought those two writers and everything, particularly with the last two installments. They brought a lot of. They made the script better. They made the dialogue better. There are some cringeworthy moments in the prequels. I will really admit.
As a prequel fan, I do recognize that there are like definitely cringe moments, and I do notice that there's a lot of bad dialogue. So carry on with what you're saying.
When you look at Star Wars, even the originals, it's kind of hard to look at because we grew up with them. There's some cheesy stuff in it too, and some bad acting here.
Yeah,
maybe not as bad as the prequels or even the bad the new stuff, but
there are.
Yeah. These aren't. I mean, they're great movies, but they're not fine works of art. I guess you could say.
Yeah.
You could nitpick every one of the movies if you wanted to. If you really wanted to, be that person.
Yeah. Well, the original C-3PO was supposed to speak like a New Yorker.
Right.
But Anthony Daniels is it who plays C-3PO. Because he had like a British sort of quiet, mellow voice.
There's a lot of British actors in Star Wars.
Oh yeah. Well, like
all the Empire.
Yeah, and half the sort of because C-3PO was British, R2-D2 was British, and Chewbacca was British, and Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, Grand Moff Tarkin.
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of the Imperial, a lot of the
officers. Almost everybody except for the three main heroes.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that's what Lucas was trying to do when he cast those British actors, was trying to get some legitimacy to his movies, because you bring in these big name, even though they were long in years, you bring in these big name British actors that have done great movies in their own careers. That's going to give some legitimacy and give some weight to your movie. And I know there have been interviews with Alec Guinness and everything after the original trilogy had come out, and he kind of didn't care for his Obi-Wan. He didn't like the dialogue that he was given. But at the same time, he still brought his A game. And I will say this. I've seen some of Alec Guinness's other non-Star Wars movies. Oop.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is.
Oh. Okay. There.
That's okay.
I'm hoping it's not on my end, because my computer is kind of shoddy.
Yeah,
but
y'all been
hear what you're saying.
Yeah, y'all been breaking up a lot in the last 10.
No, sorry about that.
But yeah, is it okay? So continue what you were saying about. Unless Junkman here wants to pipe in.
Junkman, I don't want to talk to you here. If you got something you want to say about
I mean, you are a guest, so
that's fine. But I guess I know y'all was going to change my mind, but like I said, it's not that I don't. I mean, I get some of the gripes people have. I'll never understand why people don't like Luke Skywalker in the new movie, but
that's another thing. Like, in the Legends, they kind of made. I know a lot of people say that he was flawless, But if you read Legends, he really was. He had a lot of flaws. Like at the beginning, he was almost afraid of the dark side because he was afraid of creating another Vader.
Yeah. Well, he has flaws in Empire.
Yeah.
You know, he runs off his biggest friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. I was in the chat and I tried cutting back out of the chat.
Yeah.
I've like messed up.
That's all right. But yeah. But yeah, like I said, and then he eventually turns to the dark side so he could destroy it from within.
Mm-hmm.
And then Leia brings him back from the dark.
Yeah. You're talking about the Dark Empire storyline.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't read it. It's been a long time, but yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and after that,
I
greatly understood. But my biggest problem with Last Jedi is that he gives up on his own family. He gives up on Leia and Han and his own nephew.
Wait, does he give up on them? Does he give up on them? Or does he do what he thinks is best for them and he leaves because he thinks staying there is going to hurt them? And Luke is the type of person that does whatever he can to help them. And he feels, maybe wrongly so, that helping him is leaving.
Yeah, well, that sounds like there's a pussy in it. It's like Luke Skywalker in a pussy. It's like, oh yeah, if it was
that British humor.
Yeah, if it was someone like Jar Jar, like then you could think, oh yeah, because like Jar Jar's character was a bit of like, we don't want to go fighting and that shit. But
yeah,
Luke Skywalker, no, he's like when he chucks his lightsaber away.
I mean, yeah,
I know.
Yeah,
Junkman.
But like he's a man who refused to give up on his own father and stand down against the Palpatine, the Emperor.
Yeah. It's like,
I mean, he's obviously still has flaws, but you know, at the end of the day, he does what's right, and he'll stick with his family no matter what.
Even if he honestly, truly believes in all his heart that he's hurting his family, you think he would stay there?
Well, don't take our word for it.
I think he would.
I
think he would.
I think Luke would do whatever he could to do what he thinks best.
Junkman, what do you think then about Mark Hamilton when he said he could not play that character as Luke Skywalker? He had to believe it was his twin brother called Jake Skywalker who was a bit of a pussy.
Yeah, I haven't seen the whole quote of that, but I know what you're talking about. But I know Harrison Ford hates Han Solo, so it doesn't really.
Yeah.
Well, the actor thinks really doesn't.
That one I kind of I'm okay with the Han Solo dying part because of Harrison Ford.
Well, I'm not.
I feel like.
Well, I want to see how they die before I die, so I'm happy with it.
Well,
yeah.
Right. What they could have done there is they could have filmed all of Harrison Ford's like parts, but spread it out into a 3-part sort of trilogy. But Harrison Ford said he wanted to kill the character off at the end of Return of the Jedi, but I'd have been like, well, I'm George Lucas, I say he lives, and him, Princess Leia, and Luke Skywalker all have a happy ending at the end of episode 9, or else there's no effing point in going on with the trilogy. Or
I mean, Han Solo was probably killed because it cost a lot to get Harrison Ford back. So
so they should have used him in 3 movies.
He's almost like, he's like the Robert Downey Jr. He costs too much for them to bring back.
Yeah, I think it was close to 50,000. I mean, 50 million.
Yeah,
he got plus. I mean, he's got back cut of the profit and everything. So.
He probably.
They had to do a lot to get him on there. I mean.
Yeah. But like I said, I mean, there are some people that claim to be Fandom Menace that kind of put a shadow over the Fandom Menace. And I think that's where you made the comment where you see a lot of these comments, and I honestly believe I think those are a lot of them are like teenagers probably just trying to stir the pot and all that. So
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot. Like I said, I like to stir the pot on Twitter sometimes too, so I can't really complain.
Yeah.
It's
Like
just
I said,
it's so constant. Sometimes you're like, oh, just give me a break. Just give me a few minutes to talk about something else while chiming in.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, they
And I
say
get
like,
it, man.
yeah, don't take it too seriously, yeah, because like most of it's said in heat and or for a laugh, and some of it's because they say if you're ever going to send something, don't send it drunk because like you're going to send some like crazy stuff where the next morning you'll be reading it thinking, oh no, did I send that? Oh, whatever.
Yeah, well,
And I do see a lot of people on the other
Phantom.
side. They'll attack. What were you saying?
That's my problem. Mostly, sometimes with the Phantom Menace, is that a lot of them take it all so serious. I was like, let's just have fun here. Let's.
But I also believe the other side does take a lot of things too seriously
definitely,
as well.
Definitely. I just don't. I hate that the other side.
I mean, have you seen the thing about the Mandalorian where they claim that we only like it because it's a male lead?
Oh,
I hadn't seen it, but I believe it. But I said, I wish the other side. It would be easier to attack and make fun of them, but I can just say the Phantom Menace, and it kind of makes it easier to make fun of.
Oh yeah, well, the Fandom Menace is anyone who just criticizes a film. Nowadays, it's who walk to the sort of commercial Disney line of no, everything's great, but Anita Sarkeesian, she started kicking off about the Mandalorian.
Yeah, and I don't know why people give her the attention. That's all she wants, and people fall for it every time.
Well, like,
but the thing is, with these people, they actually believe this, right?
Yeah. She needs something to complain about, and now she's complaining about the Mandalorian having too many dudes. Like,
they like complaining about things that we like.
Yeah. Well, the thing is
what I find.
It's like, I doubt she's the type to even watch the show. I can't believe she even watches it. Unless it's just to watch it just to complain about it.
Yeah, well, if it's like Gamergate, there's a video of her saying, well, I don't even really know anything about games. I had to learn everything about games. And she didn't learn that much, but she had to learn about probably like platform games and shoot 'em and beat 'em ups sort of thing. So she could start complaining that there wasn't enough like representation of women, or the women's breast was too big, or like. Well,
and I understand it. Like, well, the thing about the expanded universe, it was extremely diverse, and I don't see why they didn't just take characters from the expanded universe instead of making their own new agenda-driven characters.
Yeah. Well,
because you have like Mara Jade, you have Jaina Solo, you have all these characters that they could have used.
Yeah, I think mostly it's bringing in a director and he wants to do his own thing while feeling locked to a character. I think that's what.
Yeah, and I understand that too.
Just know what to do, but I think when you want Abrams in there, that he's going to say, "Hey, give me a clean slate."
Yeah. And I honestly believe that they could have continued the story after the Crucible novel, because at the end of the Crucible novel, for anyone's listener who actually wants to read that, they kind of set up as Luke going off into exile and learning about the wills and the, basically what George Lucas had planned for Episode 9.
Right.
Yeah. Episode 10. Episode 7.
Well, the trilogy, prequel trilogy, because
the sequel trilogy.
Right. And I mean, I ain't gonna say that like either like the new movies are great, but to me they're better than the prequels. So that's all I can hope for. Which I like the prequels. I don't hate the prequels. I can watch them. I enjoy them. They let me down at the time, but now I've come to You know, I don't hate it. I'll watch.
Yeah, and as someone who grew up with the prequels, I think that's probably why I preferred like Rogue One and Solo, and now The Mandalorian, because I get that feel of the prequels, the prequel era, the more dark and
right,
gritty feel.
Well, I haven't got like a Mary Sue in any of them, even though Solo's bad. As I say, she kicks ass at the end. But
we can agree to disagree about Solo, but
yeah, I really like Solo. And the best thing is, I took my son to see it, and he shockingly he turned to me and said he didn't know Han Solo was so cool until he saw Solo.
Yeah,
I was like, what?
well, they keep editing the movies, so
he's 13. I was like, that's who he's made for. So I was like, okay, I can see it through his eyes. I see it a lot different too.
Well,
I didn't go and see. For me, I didn't bother to go.
Yeah, because I ain't got.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ain't got kids out, and so like I saw it as disrespect to the original.
Yeah.
As in,
I mean, you look at this way too. Like all the toys haven't really sold that well for the newer stuff, except for like, and now with the Mandalorian, it's like everyone wants this Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
And you yourself, as a collector, like you would. What's your thoughts on that?
Another thing that drives me crazy is the Star Wars toys don't sell. Star Wars is dead. A Lego sells really good.
Well, obviously it's not dead.
Yeah. Lego sell really good. But I've been screaming for 5 years. Well, not that long. I've been screaming for a long time how horrible Hasbro is and how they're killing the brand, the toy brand.
Yep.
And they're doing it.
I'll agree with that now.
And then they undership, and then they make the worst choices. So I hate that when I see the Phantom Menace or people trying to put the blame on the new movies and just letting Hasbro.
I do think the new movies help.
Yeah, that's
help
all you...
that like give reason for people not to go buy them. But you make a great point about Hasbro. Their quality has gone down.
Yeah, and then they overship the store. They overship, and then it ends up on clearance. And then, what I understand, stores that do order, they hardly get what they order. They'll cut the orders by more than half. And even like they came out with the retro figures earlier this year, the ones that look like the old Kenner figures. And each Target was sent one case with one figure each in it. I mean, why would you spend enough for one person in that town could get a set? It makes no sense.
Yeah. I'm old enough to remember Toy Biz and with the Marvel stuff, and I feel like when Hasbro got rid of that, everything kind of went downhill for Hasbro.
Yeah, Hasbro's been. That's why it irritates me sometimes when I just see people just like, let's not blame Hasbro for anything. It's all Lucas. It's all Kathleen Kennedy's fault. The toys aren't selling. But I was like, no.
That's another thing. I mean, you look at the fact that she said that there's no source material when there's been thousands of books, including the new canon. So
but I think what she was saying is there was no episode 7, 8, and 9.
But there was George's treatments.
Well, not only that, you had all these books that came out in between. Came out after the filled in the blanks, so to speak, or anything for the events after Return of the Jedi, when the New Republic is reforming, and you've got Leia and Han and Luke involved, and everything else, and you've
including their new stuff.
Their source on that.
But let's be honest,
new stuff that was written.
Treatment wasn't too good. Even Lucas said the fans would hate it.
Yeah, well,
say one time.
That's the thing. Well, I mean, Clone Wars kind of set that idea up, the Wills and the midichlorian idea.
No.
And I think people misinterpret what George was saying about the midichlorians. I think what he was trying to do was what he did in the Clone Wars with Yoda going off to see the Wills. I think that's what the idea was for Luke to go the same place that Yoda did.
Yeah, I never liked the Clone Wars either.
Oh, yeah, see.
I want it. That movie.
Yeah.
You know how you
people hear midichlorians and they're like, "Oh, it's gonna be Magic School Bus."
How people feel about The Last Jedi is how I feel about the Clone Wars movie. So just turn me off anything Clone Wars.
Well, now,
yeah. Well, Clone Wars, the TV show gets better.
No, that's what I've heard.
But then I heard, like fine wise.
I've heard it gets better, but then I heard you have to use some kind of cheat list or some kind of list of what order to watch them in. I said if they can't just put it in order, I just think it just seems too confusing.
Yeah,
and that just
I get that.
Junkman.
That's one of my issues with Disney Plus is they got all the shows out of order.
Were they released out of order?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the
they were not.
animated series. Oh, yeah, Clone Wars was kind of released out of order.
But why?
Well,
I have no idea. It's probably a George thing.
It might have been. That might have been the case. It might have been a George thing. Yeah. And here's the thing: if you don't like the Clone Wars TV show, okay. I put my money where my mouth was. I went to the Clone Wars movie and I walked out like. You've got people on YouTube and on there the whole thing for hours. Both Clone Wars movies, all this.
A lot of people walked out of that.
Yeah, I took my kids.
Yeah. Now, as far as the TV show goes,
yeah.
Now, as far as the Clone Wars TV show goes, I didn't get the sense I was watching something that was out of order. Now, what ended up happening is they did cancel after season 5, and then you had that abbreviated C6 that was released exclusively through Netflix, and then eventually it did get released on DVD, and I don't know if they've done I'm guessing they probably done Blu-ray all. Yeah. The Lost Missions where you've got Yoda going off on his little quest and everything.
And now they're on
discover
Disney
how
Plus,
to retain his essence after.
I have to force myself to watch them.
Now,
honestly, I could never.
A lot of people.
I could never get into. They looked horrible. The animation just looked so horrible. I could never get into.
Yeah.
It was very stylized. Yeah. Well, it's a very stylized animation, and some people there was a disconnect, and I can understand myself. I thought the animation was okay. I was more so for the storyline, and I thought a lot of the storylines worked very well to fill in the gaps of Clone Wars, the events of Clone Wars in particular. And I'll say the one thing that the Clone Wars did very well, the TV show, it did give you a much better picture of the relationship, the true friendship between Anakin and Obi-Wan, and even between Anakin and Ahsoka. And then if you've got the pickup after Clone Wars in with Rebels. I have not seen Rebels. I've seen snippets here and there on YouTube. And from what I hear, people say it's a 50-50 with Rebels. It's okay, but it's not the greatest thing ever. That's a lot of the same line of what people say with the Clone Wars. It's okay, but not the greatest. The great strength, if you put Clone Wars in between episodes 2 and 3, it gives you a much better idea of what the conflict was like, what the sense of what the universe was going through at the time. It builds relationships amongst your core characters, particularly Anakin and Obi-Wan and the other Jedi, and even with the characters that build out the different clone troopers, because you've got different clone troopers.
Yeah, it humanizes
actually build
the
a
clones.
personality. They very much humanize them. It makes them much richer and much deeper characters, I think. So when you see in episode 3, when you see Order 66 come down from Sidious, it breaks your heart a little bit more because you realize these guys have been programmed against their wills to carry out this horrible act, and they had nothing except for the couple and everything that had the good sense to have a chip that was embedded in their brain when they were cloned. They weren't under the compulsion to carry out Order 66, and they saw what their brother clone was doing, and they realized there's nothing they can do about it. Sidious had played everybody, and everybody pretty much was screwed over by Sidious, but later he was the master planner.
Right.
But Junkman, the one kind of backtracking a little bit, everything when we're talking about Luke in the Disney trilogy, and particularly in Last Jedi. And y'all have referenced it a little bit. And if you look at how Lucas portrayed in Empire Strikes Back, yeah, he goes off to be trained on Dagobah by Yoda and the ghost of Obi-Wan, and he gets that premonition, that vision of his friends in danger there on Cloud City. And he's wrestling with himself. Should I go? Should I stay, finish my training? What should I do? And yeah, he blunders. He blunders big time. He owns the blunder. He realizes what he did. Yeah, in a way, he saved Leia and Chewie and 3PO and everything, but he wasn't able to save Han. And when you, and even continuing his story in Return of the Jedi, you have a conversation between him and Yoda and him and Obi-Wan, and they keep doing the same thing. You have to kill Vader. And he's saying, I can't kill my own father.
Yeah.
It's something he just can't bring himself to, even though his father had turned into this horrible person that has this reputation for being one of the most vile, evil people in the galaxy. It's still his father.
Yeah,
he has
although he does try to kill Darth Vader.
Yeah, but he doesn't try.
That's like he did about Kylo Ren.
But then he realizes
because they mentioned because his sister is also important to him.
Man, here's the thing.
Here's the thing. I don't think Luke Skywalker tries to kill Darth Vader. What he does is try to disable Darth Vader enough that like he's not going to be attacking him by the Emperor, and then he can concentrate on the Emperor. But the bit where Ambassador Kosh was saying that Luke believed, but still in good in Darth Vader, obviously advocated, he still believed that there was so good in him that he was not totally gone to the dark side. And so,
but Jen, here's the thing, just a few minutes before that, you have Vader, you have Anakin goading Luke, and when he's hiding under that staircase, under that platform, and he finally senses Luke's thoughts about Leia and the past sister, that Vader has a daughter, and Vader makes the threat that he's going, if Luke won't turn, then she will. And you see Luke going to that. He's telling, and this may be subjective, and I understand that. If that were in my position and somebody was threatening the life or the well-being of my sister, yeah, I'm going to go into a rage. I'm going to do what I have to do to protect that person. And yes, Luke does give into the dark side for a few minutes. And I think, honestly, he is bent on killing Vader. He will do anything he has to protect his sister, because his sister, Leia, has no training. And she's not a Jedi. She doesn't know how to use lightsaber. She has no force abilities, anything to that extent. Luke is the only thing between Leia and Vader, and it's the only thing between the two of them, and also between the Emperor and Leia. And I think what happens, what Rian Johnson did with Luke in The Last Jedi, obviously a lot of people have already said this, and I agree with it wholeheartedly. This was a character assassination of Luke's, the core of his person. Yeah, Luke ran off to find the Last Jedi temple, and I believe he ran off to go there and just die. Because here's the thing. If he was going to go off there and just die, he would have deleted the map that was stored in R2's memory bank. He would have told R2 to delete the map so that nobody can follow me. He would have just stayed on that island on Op2 and withered away in old age and died. And not only that, there was that last fragment that Lord, and he gave to make things right. And this is the map. The main part of the story of Force Awakens is the map to Luke Skywalker, locate Skywalker, either to bring him back into the fight, or for if the First Order get their hands on the map, to kill him. And Han even says in that short scene and everything, they're flying off to Maz Kanata's cantina and everything, Han says Rey and everything on the Falcon, Luke went off to find the first Jedi temple to expand. And I might be paraphrasing here. He went off to find the first Jedi temple. Obviously, he found it. He found those everything. And you had a perfect reason that JJ gave to follow up with. And I don't think Luke went there just simply die. I think he did go there because he realized that he was, even after all the years that he had been Jedi Master, he had grown so much in the Force that he went there to become a better Jedi. He didn't go there to die. And Rey trying to convince him to return, and she can't get through to him. And you see this trail of Luke that completely breaks everything that we knew prior to him, in simply the movies themselves, or in all of the material. Shadows of the Empire, which was a chapter that they did and everything back in the 90s, filled in the gap between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. And you have Luke, Chewbacca, Leia, and Lando and everything go on this mission and trying to locate where Han is, and obviously find Boba Fett and ultimately get there. Skywalker was not a quitter, and he did not give up. He had the tenacity and the strength to, and Junkman, here's the other thing. Mark Hamill, if you punch in on YouTube and everything, if you have the time and everything, I understand not everybody does. There are numerous interviews. There are numerous interviews with Mark Hamill where he says, "This is not Luke Skywalker."
Yeah,
that's not Luke Skywalker and The Last Jedi. That complete character.
But doesn't he say it? Doesn't he say that that's what he thought until he saw the final movie, and then he saw what Ryan was doing?
Not exactly. He accepted the vision of what Ryan was doing.
Yeah, he accepted it. But he did his best to bring the director's vision
in the back of his mind. Yeah, exactly. That's
and he saw the contracts and all, so I think he'd have broke his contract if he said, "No, this movie's terrible."
Yeah,
because there are numerous times and everything. Some people have done compilations of Mark Hamill being at these conventions, doing these interviews where he's trying to indirectly tell people, "Don't go see this movie. This is not Luke Skywalker, you know."
Yeah,
and for me, it was the biggest breaking point.
Yeah, that's the point. I've seen.
And it's about the train again, guys. Another one's going.
Yeah, sorry about that.
So y'all don't like that Luke did what every other Jedi did, run off and hide?
No, now here's the thing.
Not when they
don't say there was some master plan. Don't say there was a master plan to go train Luke later, because there was no big master plan. People like to say there was, but there wasn't.
Junkman, here's the thing.
That's another problem. If there wasn't a master plan, why would you start?
There was no
without a plan.
I mean, there was no plan for Obi-Wan and Yoda to train Luke. But people like to act like that's what they were just hiding and waiting to train Luke, but there wasn't. Luke fell in the lap.
That's one of the things. Like, Kenobi's mission was to wait for Luke to grow up so he could train him.
No. They knew Anakin was too old. They knew Anakin was too old to train. They wouldn't want Luke to be even older than that to train him.
Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan, I think that was to look after Luke.
And there was to make sure nothing happened to him. Yeah. And then he fell into their hands, and they said, "Hey, we got him. Let's take advantage of it."
No, well, he had to, didn't he? Because he got the message from Princess Leia, even though he didn't know it was his sister at the time, but it was someone who needed his help, or needed Obi-Wan Kenobi's help. And because C-3PO and
also there's the issue of them doing the original trilogy before the prequels. So, if anything, that's probably
yeah. I mean,
because the whole older
that.
Yeah.
I mean, Lucas could have easily worked it in that there was a plan or had it flowed better, but there, as far as looking at the movie, not and everything, there was a plan.
Yeah, but when George Lucas was writing it was like
originals than there were.
Yeah, but I want to go by what's in the film, just watching the film, not what Lucas had in mind, what Lucas thought, what was in the script. I mean, we go to the Return of the Jedi novel. Owen and Luke, Owen had been our brothers. So
I had a discussion with someone in my group about that.
Yeah,
and the EU did retcon that into being
right.
Obi-Wan had a brother named Owen.
Oh, really? It would have been great. It would have been pretty. I think they should have left it. I think it would have been a nice little twist.
Yeah,
and it makes more sense. Living with his brother.
But
it would have actually given them a little bit more meaning when that Mustafar battle happened.
All right.
Here's the thing. At the end of Revenge of the Sith, after the twins are born, and they're discussing where Luke and Leia are supposed to go, you have Baylor say, "We'll take girl, we'll raise her, and we'll make sure she's looked after and hidden and everything from Vader, Sidious, and Obi-Wan says, I will take the boy. He'll take Luke to technically, obviously, to be with his aunt and uncle, which obviously are his aunt and uncle because that's Anakin's half brother and his wife. But the thing is, there is a lot of dialogue. I can't quote it verbatim, but Yoda says to Bail Organa and Obi-Wan, hidden safe, the twins must be until the time is right. And what he's referencing is the time when each one of them would be old enough to be trained as Jedi and ultimately undo what their father has done. Because that's ultimately the whole purpose of the father making the mistake, and then you have children coming after him to rectify the mistake. And Leia, in her own part, does help to rectify on the governmental level all the mistake, all the damage that her father did. And Luke, on his own end, his part was to be that bridge back for Anakin to return to light and to fulfill that prophecy of the chosen one. And there was a plan amongst the characters, and there was a plan within those 6 movies because
there was an overall plan.
Lucas wrote
there was points.
There was a plan for
they had an end goal. At the end of the day,
and that was ultimately the redemption of Anakin Skywalker, the destruction of the Sith, and the restoration of the Republic. It's something that actually worked, especially now looking at the prequels and anything. I can appreciate the political drama that's going on in those movies and everything a lot more than when I went to see them when I was younger. A lot of people, and I'll be the first, I'll say stuff. A lot of people say it was like C-SPAN in space. It was.
Yeah.
Some of those political parts were boring, but now older, I understand what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always liked this part of it. That's why I never got the gripe when people say it was too political. I was like, well, that was probably the most.
I think when they say that, they mean, it's more of a current political times.
Yeah,
I think there's a push.
I think it's also how Lucas filmed it, with just them floating around, talking back and forth. They could have probably done some and made it a little bit more, a little more and political at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's where Kathleen Kennedy comes in. The whole criticism of her, there's
she wore a shirt.
She's I know.
She wore a Nike shirt. To a film festival.
She's No, I'm not talking about that because I do have my own opinions about that.
Yeah,
but
she went in from
it was a Nike program and all that, but it's more of like she clearly doesn't. I don't know. She doesn't enjoy Star Wars. I think she would be better off just like doing the Indiana Jones movies, doing the Spielberg movies, doing the the Jurassic Parks and all that.
Well,
I feel like if anything, Dave Filoni, maybe Jon Favreau would probably be a better suit for like the Star Wars part of Lucasfilm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I've said that she needs to run Lucasfilm. They need a head for Star Wars. They need like a head for Indiana Jones.
Yes.
She needs to do the overall Lucasfilm because Lucasfilm is more than Star Wars.
She's ruined it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
I
agree with
100%
I've had
agree.
criticism with her also. I like her. She's done some good stuff. But the Phantom Menace, they will not give her credit for the Mandalorian. But any little thing, they act like she wrote The Last Jedi.
Yeah, because like we don't believe that she was anywhere near the Mandalorian.
She hired Jon Favreau.
Just because her name's on there, don't mean she was anywhere near it.
She hired him. She heard the pitch. She liked it. She teamed him up with Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
But he gets no credit.
I get that. Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're going to bash her, you should also say, hey, because she's not writing The Last Jedi. I don't think she went in there and told Rian Johnson, that character's got to be female. That character's got to say this. I think she did. Rian Johnson was left to write what he wants to. She might have agreed with, liked it, and people didn't like it. I don't think she was telling them who to put in the movie.
She had J.J. Abrams do everything she says, and then she had Rian Johnson to do everything she says. That's why she got him in.
And she got rid of those other two directors because they wouldn't do what she said.
Well, I mean,
Well, yeah.
Well, the KK says.
The solo directors were gone because they wouldn't do what casting wanted.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine that's another issue as well.
But see, I don't think Kathleen Kennedy knows Star Wars and has as much hands-on with the development of the story as a lot of Phantom Menace acts like she's sitting down in the writer's room. I don't think she even goes near the writer's room.
I think she has a lot more involvement in the movie side than the TV side.
What she does,
I think she approves a lot. I give you that she approves what they want to do, but I don't think she's telling Ryan, "Hey, that character's got to be female."
Yeah, she was in.
I haven't seen any evidence of that. I'll just say that.
In The Force Awakens, it was because there was all that the Force is female.
Yeah, for sure. To a Nike slogan.
Yeah, Nike.
Film festival, all girls film festival.
Yeah, but
there are some things that I'll go and say like you're taking it a little bit too far when the Fandom Menace does say stuff like that. I do understand. But there are other criticisms that they do make that are very valid.
No, I've done a whole video why I think she needs to be let go. So, although I do like her, I have problems with her also. It's mostly the directing, hiring the director.
So you understand where we're getting at. Like,
I get it.
Yeah.
And she doesn't think before she speaks. She shouldn't have wore that shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
She shouldn't have wore that shirt, even if it had nothing to do with Star Wars. And she shouldn't have said that they didn't have any comic books or movies. She should have phrased it better.
Yes.
I think I know what she meant, but I don't think she said it right.
Yes. And if you're in charge of a big company like Lucasfilm, I think you should know what to say. You should
she's just a face, isn't she?
And
she's like the female face. Because if she'd been a male, she'd have been sacked by now.
But she needs credit for The Mandalorian. Can we? Well,
yeah.
But I give her credit for not messing around in it,
Well, give her credit for hiring Jon Favreau.
More credit to Jon Favreau. Yeah.
I give him credit for The Mandalorian, and probably because Kathleen Kennedy.
Do you think it was Kathleen Kennedy who hired him, or was it Bob Iger?
From what I've heard from Favreau is that he pitched it to her, and she.
Because Bob Iger was
I don't think Bob Iger was
hired
I was going to say
Iron Man.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, I was going to talk to Kathleen Kennedy about it, but I know she'd be like, "Well, I've got a female lead, so I don't want anything like that." So I'll just go over her head. But we're not going to say that, are they?
Yeah, I mean, I think she let him do a lot. I think she trusted him a lot more than she trusted maybe some of the others to let him go off and do what he wanted to do.
And that goes with every movie nowadays. Like, you gotta trust the director to do their thing instead of overshadowing.
Well, you gotta be on the same page.
You were gonna say?
You gotta be on your same page with your director before.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
And I give her
so, Kosh, you were gonna say something?
Well, and here's the thing. I will give Kathleen Kennedy her due where it is warranted, and I'll hold her feet to the fire again where it's warranted. But I'm not going to sit on here or anywhere else and harass the woman. I have a life. Throwing shade. Not throwing shade at anyone. Don't misunderstand me.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Do I think she may have her own thoughts and ideas about the type of message should be put into these movies? Yeah, she probably does. But again, I'm not going to sit here and harangue, yell, and scream and holler about it. She wants to push some sort of agenda. Well, she's the head of Lucasfilm. She's got that power. She's got that ability. Do I think it's the best idea financially? No, because if you look at what's happened with the last few movies that have had an overtly feminist message, i.e. Terminator Dark Fate and Charlie's Angels 2019, they both bombed because of it. And do I think Jon Favreau was brought in by Kennedy to do Mandalorian? Yeah, I do. Was Dave Filoni brought in to do Mandalorian? Yeah, I do. Do I think they should be, in Filoni's case, he be in charge of running Star Wars, specifically the franchise? Yeah. Because I realized this was George Lucas' right-hand man when they were doing when they were Clone Wars and when they did Rebels. You got a man who knows the lore, knows his stuff, who is a competent director and decent writer. And eventually, Kathleen Kennedy, she's in her 70s now. Woman's going to retire, or she's going to be refired, as some people call it. She's going to be retired, but she's going to be out. She's going to be very quietly fired because of all the bad will that's been built up and everything.
She'll gotta go pay off.
Been done to.
She's made the company a lot of money.
Yeah,
so
Well, this is what's happening though.
Well,
unless the next movie flops, and then all bets are off.
Yeah, well, this is what's happening. They're like.
What do you think of JJ mentioning the Fandom Menace? Junkman.
I was surprised he knew the name.
It was John Boyega who brought it up.
I didn't see the whole. I just kind of saw what was being said.
He's been interacting with a lot of the Fandom Menace.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't see the whole interview. I just saw we talked about that and about how test screenings.
Yeah.
Yeah. John Boyega, he's not said a whole lot as of yet, because I imagine he's still under a non-disclosure agreement or whatever. But
he does seem to have a negative view on the newer.
Well, movie. It's because he thinks his character's been soyified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, Harrison Ford didn't like Han Solo. When it comes to the actor, I don't care what they think about the character or the movie. Just do what they were hired for.
No, but the reason why Harrison Ford didn't like Han Solo is because he knew in every interview he was going to get, they'd be asking when is the next Star Wars, and what are you going to be doing? And so that's why I think he hated that character.
Well, he said Han Solo was boring. He said it was boring and had no interest.
Well, and he was more interested in, say, Indiana Jones. Yeah. But we have another guest apparently who wants to come on. So I don't know if we want to wrap this section up. If you've, I don't know if we've changed your mind a little bit on the view of the Fandom Menace and how it's a collective of people, and it's not one person. It's
I know. I'm just. I don't know if you changed my mind. I mean, I don't. I just give y'all a hard time because y'all have a name, so it's easy to make fun of you. Where if I make fun of the other side, I have to say social justice warrior or something. I can't just. The other side needs a name, so I can make fun of them as much.
Well, man, I'll tell you right now, if you ever tag me or follow me on Twitter or on YouTube or whatever, if you want to throw a joke my way, you're not gonna hurt my feelings. I myself have a sense of humor, unlike a lot of your SJWs. I know what it means to actually laugh and enjoy life. So
that's all I'm trying to do. I mean, that's. I mean,
hey,
there's some Star Wars movies I hate. There's some I love. There's some I like. There's some that's okay. But overall, I just want to enjoy Star Wars. So,
well,
I'm just having fun.
Yeah, but Junkman, you're not getting angry from me. Far from it. And I think I don't speak for the quote unquote Fandom Menace, but I think anybody that you interact with who identifies openly as part of the Fandom Menace.
At the end of the day, it's just a hashtag.
Yes, quite frankly, it is just a hashtag that a lot of people happen to agree with the idea behind it. It's not this massive organization that has a leader or anything like that. It's just a bunch of people who put that hashtag on their Twitter feed or on their Facebook or as a tag for their YouTube videos, and that's the long and short of it.
Yeah, don't tell Jeremy. He probably thinks he's the leader of it.
No, that's another thing.
Sorry, I had to get my jab in there.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah.
But I don't know if I changed my mind. I mean, I still have some problems with the people that fall under that title, but I have problems with the other side.
Now you have a little bit more of an understanding.
Right. And I thank you for having somebody from another view on. That's another thing I do see on some of these channels is they'll do a live stream and it'll be everybody that hates the same movie just all talking about how much they hate it without anybody coming on. So that's something I wish I'd see more on the Fandom Menace, reaching out to some of the other side views.
Yeah, I think they're happy to other side. Like if you liked the film, because like this is the thing. If you see the prequels, I mean the sequels. If you see the sequels as a space movie with lightsabers and stormtroopers, then that's fair enough. But if you see it as a Star Wars movie, then that's when it's like, no, I don't take it as a Star Wars movie. Or not a Star Wars movie I want to see.
So I think we had a good chat, and it was nice meeting you, Junkman.
Yeah, it was fun. Like I said, I'm always happy to talk on both sides. So sir, thanks for asking me to come on.
Yeah.
Thank you,
man.
Okay, guys. I'll talk again with y'all. Thanks again.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Awesome. So our next guest wants to come on. He goes by What the Fuck is Harold on Twitter.
I saw that. So
yeah, I'm trying to get him on here now. I sent him the message and
is it the Cat-owned Herald?
Yeah.
One as bad as Arthur, because that's gone right. So I never liked it much, but I was like too old for that. So like when that came out,
I'll say this about Junkman: the guy knows his stuff, and I respect the fact that he took the time to come on here and everything. And as he said, I think. Go ahead, Jen.
I would say, are we talking about Junkman or all the books? All we were talking about? Because I would say Junkman. I think he likes Star Wars because he's like kids liked it, and because if your kids like something, then you'll like it, sort of thing.
Well, I was just one thing I wanted to say to him. I'd get a chance to. and I think both of you will probably agree with this. The reason why the toys for new movies haven't sold well is, one, the quality is not particularly good. But here's another thing: a property will drive merchandise. And if property is well liked and well received by the public, they will go out and buy said merchandise. And I made this point in my my Empire Strikes Back video, because if you look at when Empire was still in theaters, the merchandise sold, the toys sold, whatever else other type of merchandise that they had come out with at the time, it sold. Sold out, and they had to do additional runs of it until eventually Return of the Jedi came out, and that stuff blew off the shelf just as quick. And you had so much of a variety of stuff that came out for these movies. You had figures, obviously, and you had vehicles of varying sizes and everything. You had play sets and everything that you could put your figures in and do all this stuff with. With the new movies, the only vehicles that they have done that was for
Ice Lovely one, the ice popsicle vehicle.
Yeah, and the only thing that they came out with for Force Awakens was Poe Dameron's X-Wing, which looks like your normal X-Wing, just with a different paint job, and the First Order TIE Fighter, which basically looks like your stock Imperial TIE Fighter with just a few different pieces of plastic on it, and that's about it. With The Last Jedi, you had even less, and now with The Rise of Skywalker, there was, they said, well, there's a Triple Force Friday. I went out the day after Triple Force Friday, and there was next to nothing in any of the stores I went into for Rise of Skywalker. And even when they brought up the new game, Fallen Order, they finally had up the big display and everything. But there was nothing on it I particularly wanted to buy. There were no figures, there were no vehicles, there were some plushies, there were a few Black Series figures and everything. But aside that, there was nothing there that really was going to compel me to spend my hard-earned money.
Yeah, well, the characters are like fun much, are they? Really?
Yeah. The characters themselves and everything, they're not necessarily iconic.
No.
And I mean, they have a Black Series Spectral or Ghost Yoda, and I'm sorry, the sculpt and the mold on it, even though it was one of the Black Series, it stunk. And I'm like, what in the world is this? But yeah, the thing is, if people are going a piece of that universe they saw in the movie or they see on TV.
Yeah, well,
and that's, go ahead.
Well, I would say, I bet you the Mandalorian toys start selling.
Yeah, the Black Series Mandalorian has sold. I guarantee you, whenever they start to release the Baby Yoda, or as I call him, Boda, boat stuff, it's gonna fly off shelves quicker than crap through a goose.
Yeah. Well, it's the characters. Because let's look at the characters. Sort of like you've got Rey. Oh, she's quite miserable in that. Sort of like, you know, she's not like what you call fun, and like Tico Rose, a bit quirky, but still not what you'd be like. Oh yeah, and then Finn and Poe all like get put in the back. So even if they'd want to be like fun characters, like, oh no, you stay in the back. You're just there to like carry the sort of like film on a little bit and have the black representation, obviously, in that. And they would look Hispanic. So yeah. So
the problem with these new characters is, when I was growing up, we would go out in the playground at school or go to the park or whatever, and we'd play Star Wars. I'm like, well, I want. One could be like, okay, I'll be Chewbacca, or one could be like, okay, I'll be Vader, or okay, I'll be Luke, and you'll have the toy versions of the weapons or whatever, or you'll have our kids will make up their own costumes.
Yeah.
And nowadays you don't see these conventions people dressing up except for maybe Rey. You don't see them dressing up as the characters from Disney trilogy. You see them dressing up as characters from the Clone Wars cartoon, and you'll see them dressed up as characters from Rebels, and maybe one. But beyond that, you don't see a lot of representation for the new characters and anything as people as cosplaying as them at these conventions and what have you.
Yeah. Well, there's there's got one around sort of thing where they're trying to make it sort of like more fun and comedy, but they've gone sort of more into like a goofier sort of cartoonier sort of thing, I think, and so it's not like being like seen as funny, more as like cringy, I think, because comedy, in Star Wars, like the comedy in that was sort of like your naive young boy who is like going along on this crazy journey sort of thing with the like princess who's sort of like a bit demanding because she's like a princess sort of thing, and she's not used to having stuff not go away sort of thing. And then like the space sort of pirate game. Oh well, he's not sort of not a pirate, but who
a rogue, a smuggler.
You got your space smuggler with his Wookiee mate who like just going around sort of like surviving and that, and then you had now you've got like a Mary Sue just showing how it's done.
Yeah, because
and like the rest of them are like they're just clapping. Whoa, go on,
what?
That's what it seems like to me.
I go for 2 seconds and then so where are we at right now?
I was
talking about the toys. But hey, so talk about the toys. I was saying to you on CjH about they made the toys into like more girly toys.
Yeah.
And so and
as a boy, like
the
want to buy that stuff. Like you wouldn't want to buy dolls.
No.
Yeah.
Now you did have the larger scale figures that they did, and then eventually they ended partway through the for Empire because they just weren't selling, but the 3 3/4 inch figures were all so like that.
Technically, like
but you now with toys.
Yeah.
I will say the 80s was a prime decade for toy collectors and just for kids in general because you had so much variety and diversity. I hate to use the word, but it's a good word in this context.
Yeah.
On the different type of toys.
It's a good.
Yeah. Everything. And even in the 90s, when you had the toys for the prequels and everything, they had a good variety of vehicles, figures, and everything that you could go out and get and everything. Particularly with Attack of the Clones, you had the 6-legged walker, you had the gunship, and all that other stuff they had done, and that stuff was highly playable.
I think.
But now you've got
with computers, more kids interested in having like computer game, spending $40-50 or pounds or whatever on that than a figure. Because like I think that the figures, especially the All-Star figures, will probably sell and that to like people
to collectors.
Always, yeah, to collect, because you can see it going for a good more 50 years and until maybe, I don't know, and to like there's so many versions that like they've run out of stuff to do. But
well, and
like,
here's the thing, and Jeff on JCB,
the toys for kids, so they're not selling because they're not fun,
because
I don't think.
Yeah.
Well, no, because here's the thing: when they did, like I was telling Jen and everything, when they had the Triple Force Friday, I went out that Saturday after, or that Saturday of that weekend, and all I saw on the shelves or anything was this little, maybe 2-foot section that had some very flimsy, cheap-looking lightsabers, and then they had these twin packs of figures or anything that were
probably a bunch of Rose Ticos.
Actually, no, there were no Rose Ticos. What they had done was they had done these twin packs, but they were of the original trilogy characters.
Yeah,
but what they had done,
people want.
But here's the thing: they were done in solid gold.
Oh, a gimmick.
Solid.
Yeah, like a gold edition.
Yeah, I looked at that.
But,
yeah, well, they
24.
I remember when Lego did that for a C3PO thing. They had a solid gold. It was kind of
but for 3PO that worked because 3PO was in fact solid gold. But no, I looked at those and I'm the thing.
Are you saying it was solid gold as in 24 karat solid gold?
Yeah. No. Gold gold colored.
Oh, right,
gold colored, not.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
For especially the C3PO thing, it was 14 karat.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
And who's going to have? What kind of Star Wars collectors have the money to buy something like that?
Well, here's the thing. It was kind of it was one of those mystery box things. So it's like
probably
one in a million. Type.
Yeah. Right.
It's like getting a lottery ticket.
Okay.
Basically. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I'm
like
sure
the gold.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
sure you will be able to.
The golden ticket.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you will be able to buy like gold jewelry or something with Star Wars on. 24 karat, like little Yoda.
Yeah. There's always
you can
like that.
Yeah.
But I look at these figures and I'm like, I don't want this. I don't want this at all. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a hardcore Star Wars fan. I'm an OG fan and everything. And this did not appeal to me. Even some of the Black Series figures don't even really appeal to me and everything. And they've got all the different articulation. They're a better sculpt, a better mold, they're a better likeness.
Yeah.
But I just don't have any interest and everything because I can go on eBay or I can go on these different secondhand sites and everything like on Facebook or where they have these marketplaces and people will have the vintage stuff for sale. Now you're going to pay a little more for them. If it's something that you genuinely want, you're going to dole out that extra cash to get that piece, to get that figure, to get that vehicle, or get that accessory to go with your figure if you have the figure but you don't have the parts to go with it. And Star Wars, Hasbro was smart. They would, and they have in a sense, they market to collectors. And they would do re-releases of the original vehicles. Now they have done one. They did do the Imperial, the TIE Fighter in a vintage-looking box. But aside from that, they've only done, I think, one other, and that was the two-legged Skywalker and everything. And that was a Black Series as well.
Yeah.
But they're not latching onto the collector's market for Star Wars. Now, they not in the real way that they should. Because there are people out there like myself and imagine others, a lot more than just myself and everything, who would love to have even if it's not original, a vintage-looking Millennium Falcon from from the original Empire or Return of the Jedi.
Well, they'll do them quite close. So, like, the only differential probably you'll be able to see is sort of like the date sort of stamp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, well, the thing was, when they had the toys for the original line, essentially what they did was they just reboxed it with TIE Fighter, with the X-Wing, with the Falcon, and so on. Now, you had certain other vehicles or anything that were specific to a movie, like Boba Fett's ship and everything, and maybe the Snow Speeder, everything from Empire, or the Cloud Car or whatever that was specific to Empire. But Kenner, who was in charge of the Star Wars license and everything until the 90s, they knew what the heck they were doing with that toy line, and they put out good toys for the time. And the amazing thing is, if you had people who took care of them, those things are worth more fortune now and everything on the secondary market for people who want to collect them, who want to buy them and everything because they want a piece of that original line.
Yeah. Well,
but with this new stuff, nobody's going to want it 20 or 30 years down the road. Nobody's going to give a hoot and heck about it.
No. Well, that's because they've just relied on this name Star Wars to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to say they're running it like a corporation and a company that doesn't care about the quality.
They expect everyone to buy up something that has Star Wars as a logo.
Yeah. And they don't care about the quality, just as long as it's getting shipped off.
Yeah. Quantity over quality is what they're doing.
Yeah. And this is the thing. The quantity numbers is getting low, and so that's why with the Mandalorian, I think they're thinking, well, we need to put some quality in here, so we don't want everyone thinking that because they don't want to like.
Well, the thing is, they barely have any toys for the Mandalorian.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have.
They kind of expected people not to buy that stuff because they weren't buying the sequel trilogy toys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, if anyone at Disney thought, we'll release some toys, this is the best time to do it because I reckon they will sell because I'm liking the
well, it's a quality show and people are gonna buy something they love.
Yeah. And I tell you something, the Baby Yoda is one of them where like it would sell for kids even if they didn't even know a Baby Yoda what one was, but if they see that on the shelves, they probably think, oh yeah, especially like little girls. I think
Yeah. Well, and here's the crazy thing. Even when they did the Power of the Force, the Power of the Jedi lines back in the 90s, when you had the re-releases of the movie on DVD and VHS, especially when you had the special editions come out in theaters. Hasbro had picked up the license at the time, and they were putting out good stuff. And you had figures that they had not done through Kenner had not done and everything at the time, and Hasbro had good sense or anything, whoever was running the company at the time, to say there are other characters or other sculpts or whatever, the versions of these characters that people want. Because they just for two examples, I think, they came up with a Grand Moff Tarkin action figure, and people wanted it. And they had Leia from the beginning of Return of the Jedi in her little slave girl outfit, and people bought it. And and everything, and they had all these different other versions of the characters and everything.
Yeah, well,
and these
I think the reason why people bought the Princess Leia in the slave outfit thing was because they've got Jabba the Hutt. They'd want the Jabba the Hutt with his little mate thing, and Princess Leia on the chain. Yeah. they want them 3 figures, because it's sort of like the Jabba the sort of.
It's an iconic set.
Yeah. Because I used to have Star Wars figures and that, and I didn't have that, but there was some that.
I guess that Harold guy isn't coming on. I don't know if he's not getting my message or. Oh well, we can keep talking. Yeah.
Well, it's with me.
Yeah.
But
yeah, because I reckon the Mandalorian helmet and all, I reckon that'll be a big seller.
Yeah.
If they ever release it, yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, as I say, if people at Disney want to make some money, I think that they should start releasing some Mandalorian stuff and that.
Yeah.
Maybe they wait until right at the end, sort of thing. But,
well, I think they'll wait till maybe the end of season 1 and everything. They'll see how the season goes. If people respond very well to it, then they'll say, okay, this has had a positive response. People like the show. The stuff we've released has done well. We've done it in a limited edition. Let's go out and let's figure out what we can merchandise, what we can make into toys or action figures or whatever. Because you could do the Mandalorian ship, because that's actually a kind of a cool looking ship. It's it's not necessarily as iconic as Boba Fett ship, but still it's cool design.
I think wasn't that from the Clone Wars?
I don't recall seeing it anywhere in Clone Wars.
The Bounty Hunters had it.
They might have.
Oh no,
it might have been.
If you can pull that up, or.
Well, there was that about because that's how I was on. Yeah, the internet went off because I only get 20 gigs a month.
Oh yeah. I have problems with my laptop too.
Let me see what I can pull up on my end. I'll let you know.
There was that story where the Marvel Star Wars was drawing other people's ships and that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what the Clone Wars Bounty Hunter ship was. It might have been the same model.
I'm on Google right now. I'm looking. Give me some.
Yeah. I think it was called Halo. The ship was called Halo.
It might have been. I don't know for sure. I haven't watched the show, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
No, this.
It was an SS-4 assault ship.
I've got one picture on here that says it's the Razor Crest ship.
Oh yeah, and it did appear in Aftermath. So
okay, I never watched that, so or never read it. So
yeah, it's an awful book anyway. Chuck Wendig.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah,
which is another, another one of those guys.
The ship is called the Razor Crest.
Yeah.
I'm looking through Google. I punched the Mandalorian ship, and it's not.
Yeah, unless they changed the name of the ship, it's probably the same model ship. How there's multiple.
Well, no, because I know what you're talking about with the Mandalorian ships. They, Clone Wars ships look nothing like the one from the Mandalorian show itself. Those Mandalorian ships or anything, they're almost a cross between. Just a second.
The Firefly.
Maybe.
Yeah.
They almost look like a cross because the way that the wings pivot and everything.
Yeah.
It's got a very Millennium Falcon-esque feel to it.
Slave One.
Feels,
yeah.
No, the slave one was like I know some of the tech stuff behind
Firestarter, yeah.
The fire spray.
Yeah, fire spray.
It's okay. But yeah, the Mandalorian ship isn't based on anything that they've done previously, because the ship from Rebels and from Clone Wars had a completely different design, because the engines weren't set off out to the side like they are on the Mandalorian ship, and the cockpit is up above. The closest ship that has that sort of design, at least with the cockpit, would be the Ocean bounty hunter Bosk. His ship, the Hound's Tooth. It and the Mandalorian ship, the Razor Crest or Razor Crest, they look somewhat similar to one another, but the Mandalorian ships, the Mandalorian races, their ships and everything, they had a very different design to them, because the wings swiveled up, the cockpit was towards the back of the ship, whereas with the Mandalorian ship, his cockpit is towards the front.
Yeah.
And it flies in it takes off and lands the exact same way, whereas with, if you remember how Slave 1 took off and landed, it landed flat on its back.
Yeah.
And then the cockpit would rotate. So.
Yeah.
It's up for selling toys up. Because I reckon because this is a thing with Disney, I think there was that sort of like, right, we need it to be good, so it's good, and if they think it's going to be good for 3 or 4 seasons, then they might release. But if they think, by the second season, if it's going to be like having like directed, where they're wanting to do stuff and giving them more control, because it'd be sort of like their sort of, because Disney don't know how to make films and that, so you're having to give more control to the directors and that. If they don't want to do that, and we know, so by the 3rd season it's going to be like a flop sort of thing, then they won't release toys, I don't think. Or if they're going to do it for a good tour, because I think if they do for about 5 or 6 seasons, then like they could sort of like end it and then start somewhere else, and at least they'd have back to, and then try and do like a follow on and do what they did with Star Wars, where they just make Mandalorian into like a loner who don't like want to do out. Just wants to.
Yeah, I'm trying to also get Mad Max on there if the Herald guy doesn't want to come on. So.
Yeah, I just retweeted your post where you tagged him on Twitter, so I don't know if maybe I'll tell him or not. I was just checking YouTube, and apparently Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers has done a video on what exactly is the Fandom Collective.
Yeah, and I'll be checking that out after I end the stream. But
I think I'll give that a watch and see what he has to say.
Yeah. What do you guys think about like John Boyega and leaving the episode 9 script?
Yeah, well, it might not be him. It might be one of his mates or something.
He tried to sell it on, or someone picked it up from where he was staying, and they sold it on eBay.
They tried to sell it. I think somebody from late today actually got it off of eBay before.
Yeah, well,
Disney bought it before they were able to.
Yeah. Well, I think John Boyega's got a bit of a bone to pick with what has been done with his character.
Yeah, he don't care. How does he?
And I think at this point, I think some of the actors, even though they won't come out and outright say it because they don't want to tick off Disney, they don't want to tick off Mouser, they definitely don't want to tick off at least Kathleen Kennedy, even though I imagine their contracts are up after this movie is said and done. I think with John Boyega, he's got a bone to pick because he feels like his character got the shaft, and I wouldn't necessarily say I disagree with him.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. This is something else I wish I got a chance to say to Junkman. But I'll say it now.
Yeah.
When these actors are contracted to do a role, they have to have some sort of personal investment in that character, in that role. Now, you probably do have some actors out there who are just like a mercenary. They come in to do the role, and then they do the role, and then they leave, and they go back to their normal life. But you've got some actors out there who take their job and the roles that they take seriously. Look at Joaquin Phoenix for one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing is also true
Method actors,
with,
isn't it?
well, not so much method acting, but I think they take the roles that they
oh yeah, well, that sort of care of, you don't want to be starring in a crap film, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't want to be, even if you're in a bad movie, you're still going to give your very best to make sure that your part is good.
Oh yeah.
But I think, in particular, with John Boyega, and I imagine with Mark Hamill, looking back retrospectively, Hamill realized that even though the script that he had been given and the description of his part was so divorced from the original version of Luke Skywalker, he was still going to try and do his best to bring that part to life, win, lose, or draw.
Oh, professionalism, yeah.
Yeah, there's a little thing called professionalism, even amongst actors. Now, I've made this comment myself. As far as Hamill's political and social leanings goes, I don't particularly care. He can have the opinions he wants. But as far as him as an actor, I respect him. I like him. And I'll watch his stuff and everything. But in this one instance, when he makes the comment that he made when somebody had posted on Twitter that they went out and bought 32 tickets, I think, for the family or for the Rise of Skywalker, and Mark Hamill commented back, "Why didn't you just wait for cable?"
Yeah, wait for cable. Yeah,
wait. That tells you right there, Mark Hamill is completely and totally checked out of his part as well as he calls it, Jake Skywalker, because this is not Luke. Everything, and you've got the actors in their own way throwing shade at this movie. And then you've got Anthony Daniels coming out and saying whatever. I don't remember exactly what he said, but you've got John Boyega speaking up. You've got Mark Hamill speaking up. I imagine Daisy Ridley will eventually chime in once her NDA is up and done. I imagine the same is true.
She's already kind of chimed in.
Has she?
Recent interview had her say she didn't like it. So.
Yep. Okay. And was it where she preferred Baby Yoda to the Porg?
Yeah, I think.
I can't say I blame her.
No.
The Baby Yoda's got. Here's the funny thing: the Baby Yoda has had more character development than Rey has at this point.
Yeah.
A little and a little 1 inch or 1 millimeter high.
Yeah.
Baby Yoda.
I mean,
CGI Baby Yoda is more character.
Yeah, you're kind of
I think somebody described it like Reek from Attack of the Clones. One of those, I think it was like a woolly Reek or whatever.
Yeah. But at least like, Baby Yoda got tired from doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Ray just little nap.
Doesn't.
She doesn't fatigue, nothing. I mean, for heaven's sake, even Yoda, he's 800 years old, but he schooled Luke on Dagobah, lifted that X-wing out of the lake, and Luke looks at him, and you have a very iconic scene. He's like, I don't believe it. And Yoda just completely owns him and says, and that is why you fail.
Yeah.
You could almost, if such a thing had existed at the time, you could have said that was a Yoda burn, or Yoda should have got a mic drop there. And and you could say it retroactively now, you deserve a mic drop for that one because he completely burned Luke. Yeah, you don't succeed because you don't believe that you can do this.
Yeah.
I'm an old man and I can do this, and you are a younger man who will be as fatigued. Now, even Luke's effort fatigued him to try and lift the X-Wing out of that lake on Dagobah.
Yeah.
But it was just, yeah.
Yeah. Jens, what are your thoughts on like? I know this is completely off topic, but
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
And
what?
where DC is heading.
Oh well, it's got one saying where it was Marvel, isn't it? Down the let's get the heroes.
Marvel's going downhill, but DC seems to be rising up to the top with Joker and all that.
Oh, yeah, the film. Oh, well, was that to do with DC? Did they have thingy, any rights on that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, the Joker, it's made a billion, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think not just the fact that it's dead.
Yeah, I think they're gonna make a number 2, but is it gonna be the Joker versus Batman, or the Penguin, or
maybe Harley Quinn?
Yeah, true.
Well, they've already got a Harley Quinn movie coming out. It's called Birds of Prey, and they just today, I don't know if either one of you have seen it on Twitter, or somewhere on the way or online. They released a promotional image of Harley Quinn with Hyena and the other female characters, and everybody's like, "What the heck is this?" It is just absolutely. They look as miserable. They look as miserable as the girls, anything from Charlie's Angels do.
Yeah. Well, they've got to, haven't they? They can't look too bright and pretty, or else men will like see them as sexual desires. And whoa, we don't want that. But
I'm just.
Charlie's Angels are. The director trying to blame men for not going to see it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But here's the thing. Women didn't go see it either.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well,
women.
Yeah.
Yeah, women didn't go see it. It's like their whole thing, like these SJWs, they don't support the business model.
No.
They are very happy to sit on Twitter behind their screens and mark all this stuff out at everybody else, and I think saying, "Oh, you're an ist, or you're a phobe, or you don't like this or that or whatever." But they won't put their money where their mouth is and go out and support these projects or these franchises.
Exactly.
But where you've got everybody else who's going, "Yeah, you can say all this on Twitter all you want, but at the end of the day, you being a Twitter warrior ain't gonna amount to a movie making bank or bombing."
They want their 2 minutes of fame from some celebrity or blue check.
Yeah. And that just isn't how the real world works.
Exactly.
I mean, I brought this up a little bit when Junkman was on.
Yeah.
I grew up in the era where none of this stuff existed, and I have slowly over the last several years caught up with it. Yeah. But I still have everything that was instilled in me as a young man, as a kid, or anything about how you act civilly in society, and I have simply just transferred that over to how I behave and how I portray myself and how I carry myself online. Yeah. And that's why you don't often, or anything, when I do a video, you don't see me go on some ranting tirade. using all these swearing and cussing and calling everything and everybody an estrophobe or whatever. I try to base my arguments on reason and fact and not on my feelings, except where maybe that might be applicable, where it might fit. And these people don't seem to understand that how you behave on Twitter and how you behave in the real world, it's not the same thing. And you've got a bunch of people coming up who are unfortunately not very well adjusted, who don't know how to cope in the real world, who think that the world of Twitter and the world outside your front door are the same thing.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be like old enough to remember a time before computers, at least, even when I'm like 24.
Mm-hmm.
I still remember like not getting a computer until like 2000, and even then I like was too young to use it. So
yeah, well, there's kids sort of like brought up now, aren't they, with a mobile phone in their hand? So
yeah, exactly.
The two, they've been like Google searching, well, probably not Google searching, but the parents would Google search something that they're online doing something like mainly games, isn't it? And that, but in my day, like the Atari, the Atari 2000 came out, and it was where we couldn't afford one around. It wasn't until I was about 8 or 7 when maybe about 9. That's over age when we got like a tag because it come down in price a bit. Yeah, the Pong and all that.
I'm still sharing the link around. There's no way Jeremy would ever come on this stream, so there's no point sharing it to him.
yeah. Did you and him ever fallen out or something?
What?
Did you and him ever fallen out?
No, I was just saying there's no way he would come on a little channel like mine.
Oh, right.
You never know until you try.
Yeah, true. But
never know until you try.
I don't know. I guess everybody's busy. I tried sending the link to Mad Max. A bunch of other ones. I sent it to an Australian who's usually up around this time. But yeah, I don't know if you guys want to talk about anything else that's on your mind, like Michael B. Jordan as Superman, apparently.
I don't know.
Honestly, I haven't talking about it personally. I just don't have enough vested interest to even really care because, as I've mentioned before, I'm not a DC guy. I'm more Marvel.
Well, I mean, that would be done by JJ. So it kind of goes back to our first topic before we had Junkman on.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. Michael B. Jordan, he impressed me in Black Panther. I'll be the first to say it because his interpretation as Killmonger, it was a very multi-layered role, and I actually really enjoyed what he did in that movie. So, am I opposed to a African-American Superman? No, not so much.
Yeah.
Now, if they wanted to
make it universe type thing, like a multiverse.
Or if they even wanted to go in another direction, and I don't know if you either even remember when they did the Death of Superman storyline, they did all the different iterations of Superman. They had Superboy, who was a clone of Superman, and they want
one of them called Steel.
Superman. They wanted this to be a clone of Superman or somebody that is imbued with Superman's powers. I could get on board with that because Okay, another way they could do it is maybe if there was sort of genetic manipulation done where they took Kryptonian DNA and put it into a normal person, and that person had the powers of a Kryptonian, had the powers of Superman.
And not
even
like
that,
Doomsday.
Yeah, in essence, do it like Doomsday, except you don't have some grotesque creature on screen. You have somebody who has been imbued with.
A bit like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, sort of like that.
Sort of like that, yeah.
Yeah,
because
obviously it'd be in the same verse, in the same universe.
Yeah. Well, that's why they have Crisis on Infinite Earths, right?
Yeah, that's not a storyline I'm super familiar with, but I know enough about it and everything that that could be
where all the DC superhero movies are all connected.
Yeah,
in some way.
Mm-hmm. So I think if they played it not where he's actually Superman, but he's somebody that's been genetically manipulated and everything to have Superman's powers.
Yeah,
I could get on board with that if they did it right.
I think they implied that it's a completely different Superman. It's not Clark Kent.
And I could even honestly I think I could get on board with that. Even that honestly wouldn't be a bad take and everything. So
well, what was that film? I'm sure it was called Steel, wasn't it? Where it was like the Black Superman with a hammer,
like a Superman.
Yeah, but the difference with the Steel, with that and everything with Shaquille O'Neal and the actual Steel in the comics and everything. This is a guy that had built a suit and everything in the aftermath of Superman's death, and he was trying to fill in for Superman and everything. You had all the Supermen. You had Cyborg Superman. You had Superboy. You had Supergirl and everything. It was still around at the time.
And all that.
Yeah, Kara Zor-El. You had the Vindicator, Eradicator Superman, who had been. This was just a normal guy that had been overtaken by this piece of Kryptonian technology and was going around trying to fill in for Superman until eventually they brought Superman Prime, Clark Kent back. So,
right.
But the movie Steel and everything, that was a proper representation of the Steel iteration. I was the same character, same name and everything, but just a different storyline, and it didn't take with the audience, so I went and saw it because it did not have that direct line back to Superman. Because honestly, how the guy, I think his name was Irons or something, his last name was Irons. He had modeled his suit and everything. Very much after how Superman looked. They had the cape, they had the S crest on his chest and everything. And you had that through line that it reflected back to, echoed back to Superman, but it was somebody who had been inspired by Superman to take up the mantle and fill in for him.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. And so, CJ, you don't know then if it's going to replace Superman or...
No, I don't think he's going to replace like Clark Kent. It's not going to be like James Bond where it's just replacing.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be. I don't think it.
Yeah.
Because isn't the Superman? Isn't he still alive? Because obviously they brought him back in Justice League, so he's obviously still alive.
I think he's from a different Earth, like Earth 23 or something.
Okay, yeah. Or Earth 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
So that could be Earth, or he could even just be another survivor from Krypton.
Yeah, exactly. Although my personal belief is every time they say another survivor of Krypton comes back, it's like it kind of ruins Superman as the last one. Yeah.
Well, but now remember they had his cousin Kara Zor-El, who was
the spin was she was the last daughter.
Mm-hmm. So, I think if they did it like it was an alternate universe Superman or something, that could work.
Yeah.
I think, as far as JJ directing it,
Yeah.
it's going to depend a lot on. I mean, honestly, it's going to depend a lot on how everybody receives Rise of Skywalker, whether anybody's going to give this movie the time of day. And honestly, I don't know if anyone's going to have enough goodwill left after either Rise of Skywalker does marginally well or just completely flops and everything. Anybody's going to want to give a J.J. Abrams movie a chance. Now, I'm not saying the man has been a complete and total hack or anything as a director. I liked his Star Trek 09. I did not care for Into Darkness because for me,
I'm not really a Trek
it.
fan, so I did enjoy his Trek movie.
The first one was fine. It had an interesting storyline to it, so I latch onto it. But what they did with Into Darkness, I did not care for because honestly, it was just a reformatting of Wrath of Khan, which honestly, Wrath of Khan stands alone unto itself. It's a iconic movie. It's not just a great Star Trek movie. It's a great movie just in and of itself because the guy they brought in, Nicholas Meyer, and everything, he came on board not to do a Star Trek movie, but to just do a good movie, and in turn, he had done a truly iconic and great movie that everybody loves to this day. So, for JJ to get people on board, I think he needs to lay low for a while after Rise of Skywalker comes out. And he really needs to work on this movie. If he's in fact writing and directing it, or if he's co-writing with someone else, he needs to bring somebody in who can write worth a hoot. And get people hyped up for this new iteration of Superman. If it is altered dimension Superman, fine. If it's a genetic hybrid of human and Kryptonian DNA, I'm on board for that too. Or he may do something completely different. So, as far as DC in general goes, you've got Shazam, that was fairly well received and it was fairly profitable for Warner Brothers. You had Aquaman again. You had Wonder Woman that was profitable and well received. You've had Joker now. I think it's going to be tricky because able to support a sequel per se. Going to have to be really inventive and creative with how to do the Joker sequel. It was advertised as a standalone. It wasn't meant to be a so they wrote those into a corner on that end. And I think kind of what happened with the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. They kind of wrote themselves into a corner because the first one was perfect. It was entertaining. It was fun. It had humor. It had danger to it, and it worked. And then they tried to make a sequel, a franchise out of it when Lord of the Rings did. And I think Todd Phillips, I think he has the ability. He could do a sequel to Joker and do it well. I think maybe if they do...
I mean, Todd Phillips' sequels haven't really been that good.
Yeah, because didn't he do the Hangover movies? Is that what claim to fame is?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard the first one was good. I never saw it and particularly care to. But I heard the first one...
You've seen the Hangover movies?
So...
Oh, you miss Mike Tyson doing singing. And, in the third one, he probably does a full song, but his cat. The thing though, what's his name? The Chinese character.
I have no idea.
I forget his name. Yang. Israel funny in it and that.
That's what I heard. I heard I heard him and Zach Galifianakis were actually really funny in those. So, but
Yeah.
I think honestly, instead of doing a Joker sequel, I mean, yeah, obviously they're in talks to do it. They may back out and not do it. But I think what they should do is, I think if being Scott Phillips did such a good job with this one, instead of going and doing a Joker sequel, even though I know a lot of people would absolutely grab onto it, I think they ought to start either do it with him or do it with a series of directors who can direct and write, but start doing a series of Rogues Gallery movies. You got Joker, and you've got the Rogues Gallery from Batman and just from DC universe in general, that you could do a series of Rogues Gallery movies, almost like kind of what they were going to do with the Sinister Six from Spider-Man. You've got Joker, do a Penguin, do a Riddler, do obviously, and this is my personal favorite on everything, is a Mr. Freeze, because just those three ones I've rattled off, I think those would make very compelling stories for them to do. And I think they would be very well received if they were handled correctly. And I think, especially when it comes to the Rogues Gallery of Batman, Mr. Freeze was always my favorite villain because he was always the most sympathetic. And me and CJ were actually talking about this the other day. And I think I like the Joker. He's a great villain and everything. But for me, Mr. Freeze falls within that gray area of a villain and an anti-hero. And I think you see that kind of play out in
They were doing it for love, weren't they? He was doing it for love because his missus,
he was doing for his.
So yeah. So he had like decent motives, even though like he didn't carry them out as decently as Batman wanted him to,
as he could have. Yeah.
Depending on
I think if DC and Warner Brothers were smart, they would start to build that Rogues Gallery, kind of like with what Universal was going to do with their Dark Universe, which.
Well, myself though, I'd go for a Riddler. I'd do the Riddler.
Yeah.
And have him like some kind of computer hack, or like he's because I think with the sequel of the Joker, you'd have to have it some like nasty, like the Joker gets a bit nasty. You'd have to have someone probably like who's at first he's just a computer hacker in that, and then he might find out some like crazy stuff and that, and then he starts just trying to terrorize like the city because he goes on like a Riddler sort of crusade and starts leaving emails with crazy daft clues. And then like obviously at the end, like with the Joker, you'd want him to survive and that shit, so they could like do a team up thing if they ever did, you know. But or else Poison Ivy. She might,
I don't know. There's a story you can tell with her.
We could use it as like more of a like Resident Evil of like a virus she gets in that, and it could be where
I think
she just starts going crazy at the end, starting like killing people at this virus place because she's wanting to get out.
Well, Poison Ivy doesn't.
But that'd be
really
more comical. Yeah, that'd be more comic-y. So
yeah, I think Batman definitely has a better Rogues Gallery to pick from.
He does because here's.
Yeah, but if you're doing the Joker sequel, it's more sort of like I'd go into the more bad guys.
Victor Zsasz get a chance.
Ooh.
Yeah.
See, you just showed nerd card. Good job.
Yeah.
Victor Zsasz. Well, they had Victor Zsasz in. He was in
Gotham
just a
series.
short little scene. No, he was actually in Batman Begins.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'll have to look that
Now
up.
it was just like one or two scenes in the movie. There's
Yeah.
actually he's in court, and you've got Jonathan Crane and everything, Scarecrow up on this before that he reveals the secret
Oh, is that the
identity.
third one?
No, that's the first one from
Oh,
Batman Begins.
Yeah.
Victor Zsasz is in a court scene with Rachel Dawes and one of the other prosecutors or anything. And Jonathan Crane gets Victor Zsasz committed to Arkham and everything because he's working for Carmine Falcone. And Victor Zsasz is an enforcer, speaking for Falcone. And you've got Jonathan Crane working ultimately for Rachel Ghoul. He's also speaking working for Carmine Falcone, the monster. So you had Victor Zsasz, like I said, a couple of scenes and everything. It was like very short and everything, but they go into he doesn't have all the scars all over his face and head or anything he does in the comic. But they do reference, they do use the name and everything. They have the guy on screen.
Okay. So we're coming up to 2 hours in. I think since nobody else is coming on, we can probably wrap this up. I saw that Brian the Observer is live right now, so maybe I'll shoot over there. If you want to do shout-outs to each of your groups, each of your channels.
Yeah, Jen, if you want to go first, bud.
Yeah, just like there's my channel in that, but I haven't put much up on. Go start putting as well.
Yeah. Okay. Kosh, you?
You can find me on YouTube under my my screen name and Bester Kosh. I cover mostly pop culture of the 80s and 90s. I'm doing Babylon 5 series or anything.
Yeah.
For the foreseeable future. 97, 78. So. Well, fellas, it's fun. Yeah. And I honestly hope we had a good, I hope we had a positive impact on Junkman. I do.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Junkman, if you ever hear this, it's a pleasure to talk to you. And it was a pleasure talking to both of you.
Yeah. So, see you in the next one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gosh, yeah, that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. CjH, I'll go. Calling that money yet?
Okay.
Right. See you later.